This page is the front cover of 64 Magazine Volume 12, boasting a free tips book worth £10. The cover game is Quake 64, with the tagline, "We've played it to death." It also highlights reviews for other big N64 titles like Turok 2, Zelda 64, and Banjo-Kazooie. Alongside Quake, the cover also features 1080 Degrees Snowboarding and Holy Magic Century, showcasing screenshots from both. There's a snippet mentioning an 8-page review for 1080 Degrees Snowboarding, described as, "Totally massive, dude." The cover also shows a Nintendo 64 console and various colored controllers. This page is an advertisement, showing off the Blaze Jolt pack and memory card for your N64, alongside their force feedback steering wheel. Over on the right it's a subscription offer for 64 Magazine, with a James Bond theme going on, asking, "Really? 007? Subscribe and you get 12 issues of the mag, a free solutions book, and a free Nintendo game. You can pick from Diddy Kong Racing, GoldenEye, Super Mario 64 or Mario Kart 64, and solutions books for those games, as well as Lilat Wars." They've put screenshots of all these games here, to give you a taste. This page is the contents for Volume 12 of the magazine, fronted by a rather gruesome fella from Bloodbath on Baker Street. Looking down the list, there's the usual 64 showcase for news and bits and bobs, and "When I'm 64" for readers' letters. 1080 Degrees Snowboarding gets a feature, promising to be the real deal in snowboarding games from the Wave Race team. 64 Score Zone will cover high scores, and Mortal Kombat Mythologies is also featured. Cheat Central is there for those cheeky shortcuts, and WCW vs NWO gets a mention for wrestling fans. In the games section, 64 site is peeking at games still in development. The reviews section this month covers 1080 Degrees Snowboarding, SimCity 2000, NBA Pro 98, NHL Breakaway, Olympic Hockey, and Brave Spirits Wrestling. Nindex is the full rundown on games reviewed in past issues. Con Artistry is focusing on Konami's software, looking at Holy Magic Century and Deadly Arts. And Bloodbath on Baker Street is highlighted as a big PC game making its way to the N64, with the question of whether it can outdo GoldenEye. Screenshots dotted around are showing 1080 Degrees Snowboarding, Deadly Arts, and Mortal Kombat Mythologies. This issue of the magazine is upbeat, excited about the upcoming N64 games, with over 50 titles planned. The 64 showcase section highlights new peripherals. Daytale's GB emulator allows Game Boy games to be played on the N64, complete with color enhancements and cheat codes, priced at £39.99. The Megajolt, a combined 8 MB memory card and rumble pack, is also featured, retailing at £34.99. Shoot 'em up construction kit. Details Desaimon 3D, a Japanese game creation program for R-type style shooters, potentially titled Roy-type in the West. Finally, Turok 2, Dinosaur Hunter is heavily previewed, boasting impressive screenshots and promising a more action-packed experience than its predecessor. Iguana is developing the game with 40 enemy types, a villain called Primogen, improved level design, and the removal of the original game's fog, with the game receiving high praise. This magazine page highlights several upcoming N64 titles. Duke Filmem previews the Duke Nukem movie and the game Duke Nukem Time to Kill, a third-person action game. And UR discusses Kobe Bryant's NBA Courtside, noting an earlier-than-expected April release. GoldenEye celebrates a reader's speedrun. Twin of Twin announces Hiryu no Ken Twin 2, a fighting game sequel. Ooh! Ah! Rakuga previews the quirky fighting game Rakuga Kids. Stop Press Cheat reveals a GoldenEye cheat for new characters. Finally, Aren't They QT covers the customizable car racing game Koro Q64, featuring track editing and multiplayer. This page showcases the latest release dates for the Nintendo 64 across the UK, Japan, and USA. For the UK in now at April, we see titles like Yoshi's Story and Mystical Ninja starring Goya Lemon. Moving into May-June, there's NBA Courtside and Conker's Quest, and looking further ahead to July onwards, we have Zelda 64, Ocarina of Time, and FES Zero X. Japan in now April highlights Zelda 64, the Ocarina of Time and Banjo-Kazooie's Great Adventure, and in May-June we see 64DD and 64GB listed, along with FES Zero X and Conker's Quest, and finally July onwards brings Zelda 64, the Ocarina of Time again with FES Zero X and Banjo-Kazooie. Over in the USA, Now April lists 1080 degrees snowboarding and Kobe Bryant's NBA courtside, with May-June featuring NBA courtside and Twisted Edge snowboarding, and July onwards includes Zelda 64, the Ocarina of Time and Phase 0X. To the right, there's an advert for the chair, a fancy racing seat for serious gamers, offering different packages and colors. British Racing Green sounds posh. You can even order it with a mouseplate and keyboard holder separately. Down below we've got 64 power cheats, listing phone numbers for cheat codes for various game genres like shoot-em-ups, beat-em-ups, racing games and platform games. GoldenEye, Lilac Wars and Turok are mentioned under shoot-em-ups, Mortal Kombat and Mace under beat-em-ups, Diddy Kong Racing and Extreme G under racing games, and Mario 64 and Mischief Makers for platform games. Blimey, that's a lot of cheats. This issue's letters section opens with Percentage Player, who prefers Diddy Kong Racing over Mario Kart 64 and critiques review scores. Not only on 64, calls out misleading advertising for Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. Last Ability Tango discusses game length, favoring Yoshi's Story's replayability over Mario 64's shorter experience. You're the Dis-ease, praises the magazine, but regrets choosing an N64 over a PlayStation. Ask Andy answers reader questions. Mario Artist is coming to the 64DD. 1080 degrees snowboarding is due for release. More 64DD titles are planned, including a virtual pet and horse racing game. The Rumble Pack is lauded for its force feedback. Magazine writing doesn't rely on Nintendo trivia. The magazine is published 13 times a year. The team prefers 2D manga caricatures. Andy admits he isn't artistic regarding the Mario Pack. Game Boy camera carts are universal, and Andy acknowledges a cruel joke in a review. The section concludes with a request for UK Duke Nukem cheats. An advert for N64 peripherals is included. This advertisement promotes great value box sets containing 3 strategy guides for PlayStation and Nintendo 64 games, each with 208 pages. The sets, priced at £16.95, feature guides for popular titles like Tomb Raider 2, GoldenEye and Mario 64. The page also includes letters. Ajit Dhaliwal laments the perceived decline in difficulty of Nintendo games, contrasting them with classics. The magazine, Walk on the Wild Snide, agrees, pointing out Nintendo's shift towards a younger audience. They defend their reviews, even if unpopular. Another letter, from Harperlord, humorously details a GoldenEye gaming session that resulted in a broken TV, and seeks advice on potential lawsuits against Nintendo. This page, in the 64 site section, is showcasing the upcoming Zelda 64, which was the working title for what we now know as Ocarina of Time. The preview is brimming with excitement, calling it a neat stuff for Christmas and saying it might as well be Christmas already. They've got a few screenshots showing off the 3D world, Link with Navi, his fairy companion, and some of the action, including what they call a catapult weapon. They joke about Dennis the Menace, highlighting the destructive power of it. There's also a shot of Link facing off against a crab-like enemy. It seems they're really impressed, calling it potentially the standout title for the N64, and the killer app that would make buying the console worthwhile. The article mentions the Japanese release is set for April, and the UK in winter, which is typical for Nintendo releases back then. They also make a funny comment about editor Andelvi being obsessed, playing all the previous Zelda games to get ready for this one, even the NES ones, and speculating about how many times Zelda will be kidnapped. They are clearly hyped for Link's hassle-filled life. It's all very positive and building up anticipation for this Zelda game. This page in 64 site is giving us a look at a few upcoming titles. First up is Banjo-Kazooie, with a release slated for April in Japan and August for us here in the UK. They're showing off screenshots, mentioning puzzle pieces within giant skull eyes, and highlighting the characters' abilities, like Kazooie laying eggs and Banjo playing the banjo. Typical Rare madness. E.T. Then we've got Pocket Monsters Stadium, coming in July in Japan for the 64DD. Looks like you can use your Pocket Monsters from the Game Boy on the big screen, battling it out. They've even got a shot of a Charizard and Blastoise going at it. It seems to be based on the monsters you've trained on your handheld. Finally, there's Pocket Monsters Snap, also for the 64DD, and due autumn in Japan. This one's a bit different. You're wandering around taking photos of Pocket Monsters. Sounds a bit odd, but the Japanese seem to be lapping it up. Volume 12 of 64 magazine, by the looks of it 1998. This 64 site update highlights 2 upcoming N64 games. F-Zero X, launching in June in Japan and September elsewhere, emphasizes its signature speed and smoothness. Developed with perfectionism by Shigeru Miyamoto, it will support the 64DD with an expansion set and allow for track and vehicle design. A screenshot typo adds some humor. Warringed Buck Bumble from Ubisoft, also due in September, offers a change of pace. Players control a bee-fighting insect invaders across 3 zones. Featuring mission-based gameplay, multiple camera views, weapon upgrades, and a dramatic soundtrack, the final version promises 22 missions, hidden extras, and 4-player multiplayer. The graphics are by the same artist as the classic Manic Miner. This page showcases a preview of Tonic Trouble from Ubisoft, slated for release in July. It's a 3D arcade adventure where you play as Ed, a friendly alien who's accidentally dropped a psychedelic potion on Earth. The premise is a bit daft, involving teenagers stopping raving and strange happenings, apparently caused by this tonic. Ed's got to sort out the mess, facing enemies like a pufferfish and killer vegetables. The article reckons it's promising, especially for fans of Mario 64 and Chameleon Twist-style games. The right side of the page is a big advert for 64 Solutions magazine, issue number 3. It's screaming, "Out now!" and boasting about N64 tips and solutions, claiming to be the ultimate tips magazine. This issue apparently has full solutions for Duke Nukem 64, Shadows of the Empire, ISS 64, Top Gear Rally, Wayne Gretzky, and San Francisco Rush. Plus, they're chucking in a complete as of N64 cheats, all for £3.95. They're banging on about having full game maps and cheat codes across 132 pages, calling it unadulterated gaming heaven. There's even a reservation form to ensure you get your copy from the newsagent. Gameplay, a leading UK mail-order computer game supplier, is advertising a range of N64 consoles and accessories. They're boasting about their competitive prices, wide selection, and excellent service. The main promotion focuses on the N64 console itself, priced at £90.99, with various bundles including popular games like Mario Kart and GoldenEye. A vast selection of accessories such as steering wheels, joypads and memory cards are also advertised. The advert further showcases a comprehensive list of N64 games, including racers, shooters, platformers and sports titles. They highlight their unbeatable service guarantee. Gameplay also offers a second game's pre-owned section. Customers can place their orders via mail, highlighting the traditional mail-order business model. F64 magazine's Bloodbath Baker Street reviews GT Interactive's Nintendo 64 version of Quake. The article, written by Andy McDermott, contrasts Quake's fast-paced action with slower games like Myst. Quake 64 is praised for its moody, spooky atmosphere, potentially surpassing GoldenEye in intensity with its updated lighting and sound design, replacing music with alien groans and grinding noises. The plot is secondary, focusing on streamlined monster-blasting action with simplified puzzles emphasizing combat and positioning. The review highlights diverse enemies, from early soldiers and zombies to the fearsome shambler. Screenshots showcase gameplay elements like health, weapons, and the quad damage power-up, along with weapon usage. The article humorously notes the AI's occasional blunders and the lethality of enemy attacks, particularly grenades and rockets. Overall, Quake 64 is recommended for its intense action, best experienced in a dark room at high volume. This page, titled Walk on the Wild Side, is a step-by-step visual walkthrough for the first level of Quake 64, brought to you by GT Interactive. It starts by setting the scene in those classic blood-red corridors, and quickly gets into gameplay tips. They are showing you how to jump to reach higher areas, and to shoot those hidden secret doors to uncover much-needed ammo stashes, because you can never have too much ammo in a game like this, can you? Armor and health are key, so they make sure to point out where you can grab those power-ups. Lifts are activated by switches, nothing too complex. They even highlight an underwater passage to look out for. Then it's straight into the monster action, with those zombie Rottweilers and the tougher soldier types, armed with what they amusingly call big FGOF guns. Nail guns and explosive radiation crates also feature in the guide as useful tools. Right at the end, they point out the level exit teleporter, and suggest it's only going to get tougher from there on out. Which is always the case, isn't it? It's a solid visual guide to get you started in Quake 64, and ready for the mayhem ahead. This page features a look at both Quake 64 and a preview of Biofreaks. Quake 64 gets highlighted again, focusing on a particularly nasty lava demon level. They're teasing about how to beat this beast, but are keeping the secret close to their chest, just giving a visual hint to fry it. It also touches on deathmatch mode, a key part of Quake, although it seems the N64 version might be capped at 2 players, a bit of a letdown compared to GoldenEye's 4-player madness, which is a lunchtime favorite at the magazine office. Still, they say even with 2 players, Quake 64 Deathmatch is fun, and lists 7 different arenas. Then it switches over to Biofreaks, another game from GT Interactive. This one's a beat-em-up, looking rather gory with grotesque fighters and buckets of blood. They're calling it a copiously violent game, and mention Mortal Kombat-style fatalities, which sounds right up my street if you ask me. Apparently, fighters can lose limbs but just get angrier. And there are jetpacks involved, so they can even take the fight to the skies. They reckon it's going to be a gore fest for those who have the stomach for it, and might even be a contender for best beat-em-up on the N64. They're also hinting that Nintendo might not be too happy with the amount of claret on screen. The Men in Hack feature focuses on Quake 64's development. Created by a small team over 18 months, it features 25 single-player levels and 7 deathmatch arenas, including a previously unreleased id Software level. 4-player deathmatch was removed due to level size constraints. The team had to shrink PC maps, but aimed to retain the original feel. Nintendo allowed gore, so it remains intact. The N64 version offers unique RGB lighting. On the right, an ad promotes WCW vs NWO World Tour, highlighting its 4-player multiplayer and positive reviews, including claims of being the best beat MUP so far. The ad showcases wrestlers like Sting and Hulk Hogan, emphasizing its appeal even to non-wrestling fans. This page showcases a feature titled Con Artistry, focusing on new Nintendo 64 releases from Konami. The main focus is a preview of Holy Magic Century, described as an expansive RPG. It details the game's plot involving a young wizard named Shanwake Makarok, searching for his missing father, and a stolen book from the evil Master Wizard. Gameplay is set in the world of Setland across 3 lands and features elemental magic. The preview highlights the impressive graphics and detailed environments, from towns and deserts to ice caves and dungeons. Screenshots illustrate these varied locations. There's also a brief mention and screenshot of another Konami game, simply titled Big Country, showcasing a large outdoor landscape. Konami's upcoming N64 RPG, Holy Magic Century, Quest 64 in the US, boasts a day/night cycle affecting lighting and even in-game house lights. The game, set in Setland, features diverse characters and a free-floating camera style akin to Zelda 64 and Gomon. Combat is a hybrid system with arena-based battles, allowing for weapon and elemental magic use, air, earth, fire, water, with combinations. Screenshots showcase powered-up magic attacks and battles. The article highlights quirky characters and interactions. While the landscapes are promising, the monsters are noted as a bit odd. The game is slated for a Japanese release first, followed by a US release as Quest 64, with a UK version planned afterward. Konami's Deadly Arts, formerly GASP, distinguishes itself from other fighting games through its extensive character customization, promising billions of battlers. Players can create unique fighters with intricate physical combinations, requiring a memory card for saving. Beyond custom characters, the game features 8 pre-made deadly artists, including a hardman, a cute girl, and a figure in bondage trousers. A humorous Ladies of the Fight section showcases female fighters with tongue-in-cheek descriptions, playing on a dating agency theme. Inspired by Virtua Fighter and Fighter's Destiny, the game boasts interactive stages and aims to surpass Fighter's Destiny. 64 Magazine anticipates reviewing the import version, indicating positive early impressions. 64 Magazine's review section debuts with a glowing endorsement of their super crisp ClearVision review system, emphasizing its ability to showcase N64 games visually. They detail their scoring system, ranging from gold medal, 95% plus, to completely pathetic, below 20%, based on graphics, sound, gameplay, and challenge. Featured games include the acclaimed 1080-degree snowboarding, SimCity 2000, and NBA Pro 98, leveraging the ClearVision system. A Hockey Face-Off compares Olympic hockey and NHL Breakaway. Brave Spirits Wrestling offers a unique wrestling experience. Additional sections cover controller, pack memory options, and PAL performance concerns, questioning game optimization for UK televisions. Reviews utilize N-icons for ratings, spanning from unfaultable quality to bad and bad again, completely pathetic. This section provides a comprehensive look at their review methodology and recent game critiques. This page is a review of 1080 Degrees Snowboarding, and blimey, they've given it a perfect 10 out of 10. Published and developed by Nintendo, it's a sports simulation from Japan, already out as an import, and costing a hefty £60. They highlight the memory options, mentioning it saves tracks, times and even a ghost racer on a controller pack. There's a selection of cool-looking snowboarders to choose from, including Kensuke Kimachi, Dion Blaster, Rob Haywood, Akari Hayami, and Ricky Winterbourne, each with their own stats. The review text raves about the controls, saying the analog stick is the best control method ever seen in a simulation. They are impressed with the graphics, sound, and rumble pack features. They touch on the fact that it's better than cool borders, and there's a bit about passive doping, referring to Nintendo's decision to use the analog stick, which they reckon is genius. They do point out in a little $64,000 question box that computer players cheat, and there aren't that many courses, but otherwise it's top marks all round for control, speed, rumble pack, sound and general pop-up. There are a few screenshots with captions like, "Oh my god, he's got no shadow, he's a snowboarding vampire," and "A ring of fire is one of the hidden treats on the Dragon Cave track." Sounds like a right proper snowboarding game if you ask me. This review of 1080 Degrees Snowboarding dives into the courses, starting with Crystal Lake, a beginner-friendly introduction with hidden routes, and a challenging canyon jump. Crystal Peak, the second course, is a tougher, linked level with jumps, an icy tunnel, and a potentially treacherous path with glassy ice and a Nintendo logo. Players must navigate various snow surfaces, using the Z trigger for crouching and understanding how snow impacts board control. The review also covers trick gameplay in Trick Attack mode, detailing maneuvers like Melancholy and Stiffy, and how to perform a 1080 degrees spin. Landing tricks correctly is essential for points. Other game modes like Contest, 2-player, and a training track offer further variety. The Rumble Pack enhances the experience, and even a subtle tweak to optimize speed is mentioned. This page features more course reviews for 1080 Degrees Snowboarding, moving on from the beginner courses to Course 3, Golden Forest. This course is described as beautiful with a sunset glow, but surprisingly tricky, with balance needed to avoid wipeouts. There are logs to navigate, deep snow where crouching is key, ramps for stunts, and frozen rivers. Apparently, there's even a hidden shortcut through Golden Forest if you know where to look. Senna. Next up is Course 4, Mountain Village, which is about using the village itself as an obstacle course. You can choose to go down a gully, or try skipping up rocky walls. The review mentions icy caves, jumps, and a mysterious huge green pipe. The writing style is quite playful, even suggesting the computer-controlled snowboarders are a bit daft. It also touches upon Mario Kart-style cheating in the game, and mentions some typically British motors parked in the village, a nod to the UK programmers. 1080 Degrees Snowboarding's Course 5, Dragon Cave, is a challenging nighttime track with treacherous routes, neon sign guidance, and risky shortcuts like a cliff jump and a hut tightrope. The review lauds the game's near-perfect control scheme, highly recommending it despite a frustrating AI that cheats to keep pace. A second opinion acknowledges the game's potential as the best in its genre, but criticizes the limited number of tracks and lack of innovation. However, the game receives high marks across the board, with perfect scores for graphics, audio, gameplay, and lasting challenge. The overall score is 86%, calling it the best winter sports game you'll find anywhere. Alternatives like Snowboard Kids and Nagano Winter Olympics are mentioned. The review also details the N64 controller layout for performing various actions. Tension. This review praises SimCity 2000 on the N64, despite its unusual fit for the console. The reviewer, initially surprised, enjoys the God game experience, guiding players through city planning in a step-by-step guide. Sections cover essential aspects like landscape design, zoning, power, and infrastructure. The Ninfo box highlights pros, sharp graphics, and new subgames. While acknowledging its age and repetitive nature, the review recommends it for N64 owners seeking a different experience. It's noted that the game is originally from Japan and priced at £60. The review's tone is humorous, particularly its British wit. This page is the conclusion of the SimCity 2000 review. Right then, we're getting the bottom line, which is a 64 Magazine Gold Award naturally. Controls are detailed using the N64 pad, so A for action, B to cancel, standard stuff. There are alternatives mentioned. SimCopter and SimCity 64 are on their way, apparently. Woohoo! The ratings are up next. Graphics are decent with 4 out of 5 in symbols, same for audio, gameplay gets a full 5, and lasting challenge also gets 5. Overall, it's a 69%. Cheeky. There's a second opinion bit. Says putting SimCity on the N64 is a brave move, and it's identical to the PC version with the same faults, but you won't know if you like it until you try it. Andy McDermott's the name there. Finally, the soundbite is a bit cynical. If you were a big fan of this sort of game, you'd already have bought a PC to play them on. Bit harsh, but fair enough in a way. The screenshots show various city views, disaster scenarios like fires, floods, and even a ruddy great alien spider. The Independence Day with legs, they're calling it. Seems you can flatten your city with disasters galore. They're also showing graphs and city management screens. Looks like you really get down to the nitty-gritty with the city finances and all that. NBA Pro 98 for the N64 is a basketball game with mixed reviews. While boasting a flashy intro and packed with features like exhibition matches, season play, and player customization, the game suffers from blurry graphics, especially in wide view, hindering gameplay. The game shines in multiplayer, supporting up to 4 players with realistic player fatigue. The controls, however, are considered somewhat irritating. Player selection could be better, but the game adheres to basketball rules and offers a decent audio experience. The review highlights the game's strengths as smooth animation, massive features, and fun gameplay, particularly in multiplayer mode. The game earns a 70% score, with good gameplay and lasting challenge ratings. The soundbite summarizes the experience. Quite good fun, ace 4-player action, shame about the blurring. Alternatives include NBA Hang Time and Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98. This review compares 2 N64 ice hockey games, NHL Breakaway 98 and Olympic Hockey 98. NHL Breakaway 98, praised for its graphics, NHL teams, smooth controls, and features like the sin bin and player creation, is considered a must-buy for hockey fans. Olympic Hockey 98, conversely, is very similar to Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey, but with international teams from the Nagano Olympics. It offers similar gameplay, arcade/simulation modes, and even the lasers of death goals. The review suggests it's only worthwhile if you don't already own a Gretzky title, as it's essentially the same game with different packaging. Screenshots of both games illustrate features like line changes, replays, and camera angles. This page continues the comparison of NHL Breakaway 98 and Olympic Hockey 98. Looks like NHL Breakaway 98 is the clear winner here, achieving an impressive 88% overall. They reckon it's top ice hockey action that out Gretzky's Wayne Gretzky. The review highlights features like creating your own player and the teams available, which are all the NHL teams, as you'd expect. Graphically, it scores top marks, as does the audio and gameplay. Even the lasting challenge gets a good score. The controls are shown using an N64 pad diagram, detailing what each button does, like skate backwards, shoot, and pass. Olympic Hockey 98, on the other hand, while still getting a respectable 75%, is more of a don't buy this if you've got Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey affair, as it's pretty similar. It's got Olympic teams from Nagano, and the review mentions arcade and simulation modes are present. Graphics are still good, but perhaps not quite as impressive as NHL Breakaway. The controls are also laid out using a N64 pad diagram, similar to NHL Breakaway, but with slight differences. Alternatives listed for both games are also mentioned for Olympic Hockey. NHL Breakaway is listed as an alternative, and for NHL Breakaway, Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey and Olympic Hockey itself are suggested alternatives. Both games get soundbite summaries, with Olympic Hockey being pitched as decent if you're after the Olympic angle. Screenshots for both games show in-game action and menu screens, like player creation and team selection. Brave Spirits Wrestling for the N64 is reviewed, comparing it to the benchmark, WCW vs NW World Tour. While graphically superior with smoother animations and more detail, Brave Spirits falters due to control issues. The controls are less responsive, hindering gameplay, especially on harder difficulties, and the tag team camera is problematic. The game features memory card support for saves and a 4-player mode, but all text is in Japanese. The review includes humorous side articles on different wrestling styles. Despite high scores for graphics, audio, gameplay, and lasting challenge, the overall score is 70%. The second opinion praises the visuals, but critiques the lack of liquid playability of WCW. The game is summarized as having potential, but not quite reaching its mark, with Fighter's Destiny mentioned as an alternative. 64 Magazine's Cheat Central features codes for several N64 games. Fighter's Destiny reveals how to unlock secret characters by completing versus mode challenges. NBA in the Zone 98 offers an easy free throw tip: nudge the analog stick up. Duke Nukem 64 provides PAL version cheat codes for a menu, with options like invincibility, sent in by a reader. Nagano Olympic Hockey 98 has codes for continual fighting and player appearance modifications. NBA Hangtime includes 3-digit codes for effects like Baby Players Mode. GoldenEye features a fun tip for the domino control setting. Snowboard Kids gives a turbo start tip. Finally, WCW vs NWO has a controller layout guide. This page is the score zone, in it, where readers show off their top times and scores on various N64 games. We've got leaderboards for Mario Kart 64, Moo Moo Farm, Koopa Troopa Beach, Frappe Snowland, Mario Raceway, Wario Stadium, Wave Race, Sunny Beach, Sunset Bay, Drake Lake, Glacier Coast, Extreme G City 1, GoldenEye by Lamori Dam, Star Fox 64 overall score, Top Gear Rally Coastline/Sunny, Diddy Kong Racing Ancient Lake, Fossil Canyon, Jungle Falls, Treasure Caves and Various Facility, Frigate, Runway, Bunker 2, Archives, Egyptian Temple Levels. Blimey, that's a lot of gaming. Orangeager. There's also the Ultimate Player competition, where one lucky gamer each month gets to be the chosen one and win a Trident pad and a 256K memory card from Logic 3. You just need to impress them with your prowess. On the side, there are a few adverts. Madeira Games is flogging Universal PlayStation for £1 that plays all games, whatever that means, plus N64 and PlayStation gear, with guaranteed next-day delivery if you order before 4:30. Then there's Wild Imports selling imported games like Duke Nukem 64, Fighter's Destiny, 1080 Snowboarding, Lamborghini, Quake 64, Mace, Mission Impossible and Rampage World Tour, with console conversions also on offer. And finally, On the Edge is offering to swap your used N64 games for a tenner. You fill in a form to swap your games, like Top Gear Rally for Extreme G and all that. They're based in Halifax, mind. This page is all about Mortal Kombat mythologies. Sub-Zero on the N64, blimey, remember that one? It's level 1, Shaolin Temple, and the mission is to nick the sacred map of the elements. They've got a level map layout here with all the bits marked out: platforms, lifts, enemies, even shielded monks. Looks like there's herbs for health, crushers to watch out for, a drop, and the level boss is Scorpion. They're saying it's a right frustrating game, mind, and reckon you'll need help from Gamebusters to get through it. Apparently it's a tough one even for skilled gamers, they are saying. The next page is cracking on with Mortal Kombat mythologies, Sub-Zero, and this time it's level 2, Temple of the Elements. The mission this time is to grab 3 icons representing wind, and they are warning us to be patient as it's a right frustrating level. There's a level layout diagram showing all sorts of platform shenanigans like spinning fan platforms, falling platforms and swinging platforms. Sounds like a platforming nightmare. They're pointing out the large gaps where you need wind assistance, a key platform which triggers a tornado, and even an extra life hidden away. Always worth a detour for one of those. The tornado section looks interesting. You jump in and can steer it with the D-pad to collect a wind icon and reach a higher platform. Right at the end of the level, it's the level boss, God of Wind, and they are saying he is extremely difficult, suggesting keeping your distance and using flying kicks, and warning about a deadly tornado attack when he's about to kick the bucket. Sounds like another tough level in this tricky game. Level 3 of Mortal Kombat mythologies, Sub-Zero, Temple of the Elements Earth, tasks the player with collecting 3 Earth icons. The level features several traps: crushers, spiked pits, swinging axes, and shielded monks. Players must time jumps through crushers, observe trembling ground for spiked pits, navigate swinging axes carefully, and freeze shielded monks when their defenses are down. The level boss is the God of Earth, vulnerable to flying kicks and the ice slide. Players should maneuver behind him, and when he blocks, activate a lift switch to drop it on his head. Defeating the boss grants the second icon and allows progression. This page is a playing guide for level 4 of Mortal Kombat mythologies, Sub-Zero on the N64, titled Temple of the Elements Water. The mission is to collect 3 water icons, and the guide mentions it's a bit of a maze but easy enough with the map provided. It highlights using icons to open numbered doors throughout the level. There are sections covering sewer passages which warn about electric eels in the water. floating barrels, which act as lifts or ferries over deep water, and the water icon 2-door, explaining that unlocking it causes water to flood the passage and requires an ice slide move to get through before it closes. The guide also details the level boss, the God of Water, suggesting players keep moving to avoid his water attacks and to use Ice Blast and combos to defeat him. It's a continuation from the previous level which focused on earth elements, so this one's obviously all about water-themed challenges. This page carries on the guide for Mortal Kombat mythologies. Sub-Zero, now onto level 5, Temple of the Elements Fire. The mission this time is to collect 3 fire icons. It's flagged as a tricky level due to moving platforms, so timing is crucial. One slip, and Sub-Zero is toast. There's a mention of switches that control platforms, raising or lowering them, and you need to be quick before they reset. For enemies, the advice is to freeze them, then use combos, standard stuff. Moving on, the guide points out hot springs, with steam damage. Jumping is the way to avoid that. Then there are spit roasters amongst the hot springs, spinning roasting bars, not for cooking chickens mind you, but more hazards to jump over to limit damage. Ropes are in play too, for moving in one direction only, so no backtracking in the heat. Finally, it details the level boss, the God of Fire, reckoned to be the toughest boss yet. Apparently, special moves are out the window for this fight. The strategy is to keep your distance, dash in for a quick combo, and jump back before the fire starter gets you. This page details the level 6 prison stage in Mortal Kombat mythologies. Sub-Zero. The mission is to escape the prison of lost souls. It's said to be fairly straightforward. Just watch out for the armed guards who can chip away at your health. The guide advises on dealing with guards by disarming them first, and then using combos to finish them off. Ice Slide or Ice Blast special moves are recommended. Next up, it mentions hammers, those big crushing things, suggesting you need to wait for them to go up before running underneath. Force fields are timed, so patience is key. Wait for an opening and dash through. Lifts are introduced, activated by keys you've picked up, using a plus HK to go up, and a plus LP to go down, to reach new areas. To get out of the level, you need to grab the Urn of Strength from the highest platform, use it, and then flying kick the statue. This will collapse the statue and clear your exit. Finally, the level boss is the High Executioner. Apparently, he's packing a powerful punch. The tactic here is to keep your distance, rush in with a hard kick, and then get out of the way. Repeat this until he's beaten. If you get cornered, use the Ice Slide to avoid a beating. Level 7 of Mortal Kombat mythologies. Sub-Zero, the bridge, tasks players with crossing the Bridge of Souls to collect 3 fortress icons. This linear level features familiar enemies and scarce items. The first challenge is the Dinosaur Rider boss. Use jumping attacks and avoid special moves. Next, defeat robot enemies to obtain the fortress icons, utilizing the HK button and maintaining distance. Navigate force fields by waiting for them to deactivate. Dodge octopus arms and swiftly traverse platforms. Employ the run button to jump over deadly spinning blades. Upon collecting all 3 icons, find the temple door on the right, and use the icons to access the final level. Declawar. Level 8 of Mortal Kombat mythologies. Sub-Zero, the Fortress, is the final level. The objective is to retrieve the amulet and return to Earth. Players must navigate through 3 areas, each culminating in a boss fight, to obtain 3 crystal keys: Kias, Jata'akas, and Serenas. Boss strategies include using Ice Blast and combos against Kia and Jata'aka. Serena requires special moves and caution against her combos. Quan Chi demands speed and constant special moves. The final battle is against Shinnok, surprisingly the easiest boss. Players must Ice Blast him when his amulet glows, teleport behind him, and steal the amulet. Successfully completing these fights allows players to pass through the gateway and complete the game. Throughout the level, players must utilize combos, super slides to disarm enemies, lifts, and timed runs to avoid obstacles. This page is a right proper advert from Excitement Direct, your one-stop shop for all things Nintendo 64 back in the day. They're pushing a special edition Gold N64 with a gold controller, part of their Master Blaster packs, which also bundle games like GoldenEye, Shadows of the Empire, and Duke Nukem. Games-wise, they're showcasing Yoshi's Story, Tetrisphere, Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, Snowboard Kids, and Quake. GoldenEye 007 and Duke Nukem 64 are there too, naturally, alongside Diddy Kong Racing and Nagano Winter Olympics 98. Plenty of Rumble packs and memory cards on offer as well to beef up your console. They're also flogging new accessories like soft character toys, speakers, and a Game Boy emulator for your 1064, cables for your N64 naturally, plus a decent selection of US N64 games. Loads of official and third-party controllers are advertised, like the SharkPad Pro 64, and various steering wheels and rumble packs. They even do original Game Boy bundles, and some Super NES games, for those retro cravings. Right at the bottom they've got miscellaneous bits and bobs, like cleaning kits and guides, and even a multi-case for your kit. And of course, an order form if you fancy sending off a check in the post. Those were the days. This page is a right-handy playing guide for WCW vs NWO World Tour on the N64, part 2 of their grappling guide no less, straight from the chaps who made the game. They're running through the standard moves for all wrestlers, and then getting into character-specific move lists for Hollywood Hogan, Sting, Buff Bagwell, and even Eric Bischoff. It's all broken down into your kicks and punches, weak and strong grappling, rope moves, turnbuckle antics, and special moves when you're in the zone. A proper move Bible, to get you slamming like a pro. The next page of the magazine continues the WCW vs NWO World Tour playing guide. This time it's move lists for Scott Norton, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and SYXX. Each wrestler gets a breakdown of their kicks and punches, weak and strong grappling from the front and rear, whip to ropes moves, opponent on mat moves, turnbuckle and rope moves, throw dazed opponent into turnbuckle and special moves. It's a proper guide showing you how to get the most out of each of these NWO lads in the game. This page delves into the playing guide for WCW vs NWO World Tour, and highlights Diamond Dallas Page and Macho Man Randy Savage. It explains you can unlock Diamond Dallas Page by conquering every wrestler in the League Challenge, WCW heavyweight category, after which he'll be selectable. The same goes for Macho Man Randy Savage in the NWO single category. The page then details their moves. For Diamond Dallas Page, there's a breakdown of his kicks and punches, weak and strong grappling moves from the front and rear, whip to ropes maneuvers, options for when your opponent is on the mat, turnbuckle and rope moves, ways to throw a dazed opponent into the turnbuckle, and his special moves, including the Diamond Cutter. Randy Savage gets a similar treatment, with his move list covering kicks and punches, weak and strong grappling, whip to ropes actions, opponent on mat tactics, turnbuckle and rope moves like the Macho Man flying elbow, throws into the turnbuckle, and special moves including the German suplex. It's a proper move guide, essential for mastering these two flamboyant wrestlers in the game. This page is all about getting your hands on back issues of 64 magazine and subscribing, you see. It's split into two sections, back issues and subscriptions. For back issues it lists issues 1 through to 11, each with a little snippet about what was inside, like issue 1 covered Mario 64 and Wave Race, issue 2 had Star Fox and Shadows of the Empire, issue 4 Banjo-Kazooie and Conker's Quest, issue 7 Diddy Kong Racing and Top Gear Rally, issue 8 MK Mythologies and GoldenEye, and issue 11 Fighters Destiny and Bomberman 64. A few of them like issues 1, 3, 6, 9 and 10 are already sold out though, typical. Then there's the subscriptions bit, pushing their mega deal where you can get 12 issues and a game for £40, decent value that. Game choices are Diddy Kong Racing, GoldenEye, Super Mario 64, and Mario Kart 64. They've also got standard 6 and 12 issue subscriptions, if you just want the magazine. Finally, there are order forms to fill in for both subscriptions and ordering back issues. Simple as that. This buyer's guide from the 64 Nindex assesses N64 titles. Aero Fighters Assault is a poor air combat game, 61%, while Chameleon Twist, 72%, is a Mario clone. Clay Fighter 63 and a third, 13%, is considered one of the worst games ever. Cruisin' USA, 25%, is a rushed, low-quality import. Dark Rift, 57%, is a boring fighting game. Automobili Lamborghini, 81%, offers some fun with its 4-player mode. Blast Core, 82%, combines racing and puzzles. Bomberman 64, 86%, is a decent one-player, though the multiplayer is flawed. Diddy Kong Racing, 95%, is a must-have racing game. Doom 64, 80%, is a solid update to the PC classic. Doraemon, 40%, is a poor Mario 64 attempt. Dual Heroes, 28%, is a terrible beat-em-up. Duke Nukem 64, 90%, provides more levels than GoldenEye. F1 Pole Position, 78%, is a flawed F1 sim. FIFA 64, 25%, is a disaster. But FIFA Road to World Cup 98, 85% is a vast improvement. Fighter's Destiny 92% is a great beat-em-up. Ganbare Goemon 70% is a decent RPG. Extreme G 91% is a fast futuristic racer. The Glory of St. Andrews 20% is a terrible golf sim. Finally, GoldenEye 96% is considered the best N64 game. This N64 game review compilation covers a diverse range of titles. Standouts include the high-scoring Super Mario 64 and Lylat Wars/Star Fox 64, both earning 94%. Is 64 also receives high praise, with a 93%. Other notable games include Mario Kart 64 80%, Pilot Wings 64 79%, and Mischief Makers 85%. Sports titles like NFL Quarterback Club 98 80% and John Madden 64 80% are reviewed alongside the winter sports game Nagano Winter Olympics 77%. Fighting games like Killer Instinct Gold 70% and Mortal Kombat Trilogy 55% offer mixed results. The compilation also highlights import titles and other genres, such as Puyo Puyo Sun 64 87% and the arcade-style Robotron 64 82%. Several games like Hexen 45%, Shadows of the Empire 62%, and Multi-Racing Championship 62% received lower scores and critical comments. This issue of 64 magazine reviews a variety of N64 games. Tetrisphere earns a 75%, while Top Gear Rally receives a stellar 90%. Turok Dinosaur Hunter gets a 72%, and Wave Race 64 impresses with an 87%. Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey scores an 84%, with its sequel, 98, slightly improving to 85%. War Gods disappoints with a 52%, while W vs. NWO World Tour shines with an 85%. Wheel of Fortune struggles at 45%, and Wild Choppers gets 72%. World Soccer 3 earns an 86%, and Yoshi's Story receives an 81%. The next issue promises Quake 64, Deadly Arts, Rampage and more. The magazine also includes contact information, staff details, and subscription information, with issue 13 launching April 23 odd. Special Reserve is advertising N64 deals. They offer the console for £99 and 99 pence with a discount and a Pro bundle. A huge list of N64 games are available, including titles like GoldenEye, Mario Kart 64, and Super Mario 64. They promote a Special Reserve membership for £6 annually, offering a magazine with cheats, reviews and discounts, plus a free gift. Options include a memory card, a football, or a virtual Megapet, a goodie bag with Mini Boy, a Game Boy calculator, and a Virtua Pet is also available. Special Reserve has physical stores in several locations. There's also a £2 discount on orders over £30 with their order form. They accept various payment methods and are based in Harlow.